Welcome in, Frostburg State fans, as video content is back on the Bobcat Athletics channel. I am here with Morgan Cuthbertson, our newest hire, who has taken on some broadcasting, and we are going to give you our winter sports recap from this past winter. And Morgan, you joined about halfway through, and we're happy to have you here, but in those kind of early months, you kind of learned that there was still a lot going on, even though there weren't a ton of sports, that there's still a lot of action here at Frostburg.
For sure. I mean, definitely happy to be on that committee. I think I joined around, mid-January, now mid-March. Definitely happy to be here. I got to see some good basketball from, both men and women's, good talk about men and women's swimming, look ahead to spring. So I'm happy to be here, and I'm excited to talk some winter sports with you.
We will start out with those swimming teams, and the men's and women's swimming teams bringing home an MEC championship, the women going back-to-back, and the men earning their first ever conference championship. Big shout out to first-year head coach Matt Britton, who came in and built on the success of the women and then taking the men to new heights. Very impressive for him as a first-year head coach here.
Absolutely. Matt was, the first coach I met here at Frostburg. Definitely a great guy, and made these, both men and women swimmers swim, their best. We have a couple swimmers, breaking their own records. Like you said, women's swim, back-to-back now MEC champions. You got men's in there winning their first, so definitely a great hire for Matt Britton.
Yeah, and Kendall Hooper on the women's side being named the swimmer of the meet, and you have to remember that it's a combined GMAC and MEC championship, so for her to get that on top of both conferences, given their talent, hugely successful. Nate Knapp on the men's side, one of the leading scorers for them as well. Haven't received their swimmer of the year awards or coach of the year, but would have to imagine they at least have a strong shout at both of those, and again, just building on the success of both those programs.
Absolutely, like you said, Nate Knapp and Kendall Hooper, fantastic swimming athletes. Like you said, I think both of them, getting first team All MEC, honors as well. You said, Kendall Hooper winning, swimmer of the meet, which I believe is, the first Frostburg athlete to do so. So great, fantastic start for Matt Britton and his swimmers for sure.
We'll move on to the basketball teams. We'll start with men's basketball, where it was a season of, some building success in the early part of the year and then kind of faded away towards December. Brought it back middle of the year and just weren't able to finish in the way they wanted to, highlighted by winning 3 out of 4 games in the middle of the year against West Virginia State, Glenville State, and Alderson Broaddus that you gave some hope, and then just couldn't get the job done late on in the year.
For sure, like you said, I think that main kind of spark of energy for those, that men's basketball team was kind of that West Virginia State game, kind of going in on the road, and upsetting them was definitely a kind of like a tone setter for Sean Brown and his team.
Yeah, Jason Murphy, one of the players to highlight, was second-team All-MEC, the highest-ranking MEC player, I believe, since the 1920 season. Last year, Ajay Edwards was named an honorable mention All-MEC player, but Jason really came in, and it was a lot of new faces this year. Jason Murphy, Tayrell Fletcher, just to name a couple that were some big impact players, but some of the returners as well. There's a lot to replace for next year. You look at 6 seniors and graduate students on that roster that you can see some of the pieces building, and it's just a matter of building up the program again.
For sure, you talk about, Jason Murphy coming in, terrific addition for underneath the basket, kind of their main big. We lose Ajay Edwards, terrific, senior, such a nice leader on both, both sides of the ball, offense and defense. And we have, Fletcher in there. Definitely, kind of saw him get injured there kind of middle season. So, they kind of played their best basketball towards the end of the season. So that kind of makes, the Bobcat fans excited to see what could happen next season for sure.
On the women's side, then, a little bit more of a success story, making their first ever MEC tournament. Another first-year head coach in Jenna Eckleberry, where, again, they didn't have the record that they would have wanted. I believe it was 9-20 or 9-21, somewhere around there. But you saw the growth of the program and what she is trying to build, coming into where the team hadn't reached double-digit wins in quite a few years. Couldn't get there this year, but making the tournament. Emily Weekly, one of the best players, not just freshmen in the country, led all of Division II in scoring. Maggie Sharp, Ariana Briggs-Hall, a couple of seniors that made an impact. And just a building of the team where you saw the chemistry and the camaraderie of always willing to fight.
For sure, you said, you name all those people, and you see such a team built, atmosphere that General Eckleberry was able to come in and, build that team. Emily Weekly, I don't know if you can say about her, 47-point game, career high against West Liberty, hitting that, buzzer beater from, around half court. Such a, terrific player, terrific person. Have Ariana Briggs-Hall and Maggie Sharp, providing great numbers, kind of, that, the glue for this team. Ariana Briggs-Hall, I believe, with her 500th career rebound this season, fantastic milestone for her. Maggie Sharp hitting her, I believe, 100 three-pointer in Bobcat uniform, another terrific milestone for her. And like we said, their first MEC appearance in the tournament, first ever win. So fantastic first-year job by head coach Jenna Eckleberry.
Yeah, and then just, sort of the downside of once again losing to the eventual national champion Glenville State from last year, and they're looking this year like they're legit as well, making the Elite Eight and potentially going on another run. But you see what Coach Eckleberry and Coach McLaughlin, I also want to mention Marley, our assistant as well, what they've both brought to this program, and bring in another solid recruiting class for next year. You bring back a couple of players that have been hurt this year that would have been impact players had they not been hurt. I'm very excited to see what they're going to do. Do want to also mention indoor track and field as well. On the men's side, we had Marquise Burke set the school record in the decathlon, came runner-up in the MEC, I believe. Nathaniel Messi broke the school record in the 400 as well. He was an MEC champion. And then on the women's side, Omokemi Balagoon breaking the school record for the triple jump and also becoming an MEC champion. Track and field is a sport that you've gotten to know a little bit and will start kind of ramping up in the spring, but sort of that winter season serves as their precursor into the spring.
For sure, I know that a lot of those athletes, like you mentioned, broke their own records, got MEC records as well. So definitely happy for indoor track and field and excited for outdoor track and field here in the spring as well.
And with that, our spring sports have already started. We're in full swing at this point. All of our spring sports, and I want to highlight acrobatics and tumbling, men's lacrosse specifically. So far undefeated on the year. They're off to great starts. Softball has a winning record, and they're pretty well off at the moment. Just to name a few, and we're waiting for some sports to kind of pick up and see where they can go. Track and field this weekend has their first meet of the outdoor season. We'll see how they come out. But very excited for our spring. Obviously very busy for us, but with the extra hires, for example, we're excited to get into these spring sports.
Hey, a busy is always a good busy. Keeps us busy in the spring, like you talked about. We have, good start to all our spring sports so far. I know we host some more here at Frostburg State at the end of the month, so I'm excited to get some Bobcats back in action here at Frostburg State.
All right, well, Morgan, thank you for coming on today to come and talk with us and give some of our fans an introduction both to yourself and then for recapping some of our winter sports. Be sure to stay tuned, Bobcat fans. We'll have some more video content coming up shortly. We'll be back to our weekly scheduled Athlete and Coach of the Week, so be sure to stay tuned on all things Bobcat athletics. And as always, go Bobcats.